Hey warriors, seekers of stillness, look inward right now. Your mind wasn't supposed to feel this heavy, this perpetually clogged. Somewhere between pure childhood presence and complex adulthood, your consciousness became a storage unit. Not for your own necessities, but for everything nobody else wanted to carry. Think about the inventory you're holding, expectations that were never truly yours, standards you never consciously agreed to, fears borrowed from people who were scared themselves, anxious projections passed down like unwanted heirlooms. And now, you walk around carrying that load, listening to the constant static, that low-level, endless loop of anxiety about tomorrow, the replay of a mistake from 5 years ago, the nagging feeling you're always behind, always running a mental marathon you never signed up for. If you feel exhausted, fragmented, and like your mind is completely out of your control, it's not because you're failing. It's because your most sacred space, your consciousness, has been hijacked. Your brain is producing 60,000 thoughts a day, and the dark truth is, the vast majority are not your thoughts. They are just toxic leftovers, borrowed fears and conditioned habits designed to steal your focus. You've been living in a mental prison built entirely out of noise. The ancient Stoics recognized this theft of the mind 2,000 years ago, and they developed the ultimate counterintuitive weapon. This isn't therapy, and it's not forced positive thinking. It's mental mechanics. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share the 9 Stoic truths that stop the mental static instantly, giving you back the clarity and peace you deserve. We're not trying to fix your thoughts. We're going to permanently delete the power they hold over you. If you want the roadmap to a mind that is quiet, disciplined, and razor-sharp, stay locked in. If you're ready to reclaim control, declare your intent in the comments right now. Clear mind, focused life. Let's begin with the first and most critical mistake almost everyone makes. Truth 1. The thought isn't the problem. The belief in it is. The failure point for most seeking clarity is the impossible goal of eliminating negative thoughts entirely. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the human brain, a prolific thought-generating factory. A harsh thought, a catastrophic image, a paralyzing what-if scenario. These are merely fleeting neurological events. They are noise. The critical insight is this: the thought gains its power, its toxicity, only at the moment of belief. When that fleeting internal event surfaces and you instinctively pause, grab it, and validate it by saying, "This must be a profound, hidden truth about me," that is when the poison is introduced. This truth is the cornerstone of Stoicism, rooted in the philosophy of Epictetus, who taught that it is our judgment about things, not the things themselves, that disturbs us. We must learn to separate the raw impression, the thought appearing, from the assent, the belief or validation we give it. The space of freedom is found in refusing to assent to toxic impressions. Imagine your consciousness as a wide river. Thoughts are leaves floating down. A toxic leaf floats by. Belief is the reflexive act of reaching into the current and grabbing that leaf. By simply letting the leaf float by refusing to grab it, you acknowledge its existence without giving it the energy of your attention or the weight of your validation. Practical practice. When a toxic thought appears, engage in a 2-step process. Labeling for distance. Immediately name its category aloud or internally. That's a catastrophizing thought. This simple naming shifts your position from victim of the thought to observer of the thought. Interrogation for fact. Before granting assent, subject the thought to harsh, stoic scrutiny. Is this a fact, or is it an interpretation? Is there concrete evidence, or is this merely an old, fear-driven pattern running on autopilot? By consistently subjecting the thought to interrogation, you dissolve its authority. Thoughts, when denied the energy of belief and attention, rapidly lose intensity and simply fade, proving they were never threats, just temporary noise. Affirmation: thoughts pass, I remain. Truth 2. The mind follows where attention leads. Your attention is the most valuable limited resource you possess. It acts as a spotlight in consciousness. Wherever this spotlight lands, that reality is amplified and becomes, for that moment, your entire world. Toxic thoughts only thrive where attention is allowed to linger in the abstract realms of the past or the future. The untrained mind allows the spotlight to be violently hijacked by the loudest, most negative signal. This is a profound security vulnerability. This is the principle of guarding the mind, a central teaching of Seneca. He was acutely aware of the miserable cost of misplaced focus, stating, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." He was demanding the wise management of the attention currency, reserving it for productive planning, not destructive fiction. The inverse is also true. Whatever receives consistent, focused attention grows stronger. If you intentionally focus on gratitude, you perceive more abundance. The shift occurs entirely in the perception. Practical practice. The intentional anchor shift. When you detect the spotlight drifting into a toxic loop, implement this drill for active mental redirection. Stop signal. Use a physical trigger or an internal word, pause, to interrupt the loop instantly. Focus redirection. Ask, with genuine intent, what is the most constructive, factual thing requiring my attention in the next 5 minutes? The sensory lock, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Force the spotlight onto external reality by engaging the senses. Deliberately name, internally or externally, 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. This anchors the mind in the only moment that actually exists, the now, where abstract toxic loops cannot survive. Truth 3. Motion breaks mental stagnation. The third truth is the somatic reality. The body and mind function as a unified, interconnected system. When the body is held rigid, sedentary, or frozen, the mind follows into a state of stagnation, amplifying negative internal dialogue. The Stoics integrated physical practice into their philosophy, understanding that stagnant energy creates a stagnant mind. When we experience stress, the body enters a stress cycle. If we freeze and hold that stress, the energy of the emotion gets stuck. This trapped energy manifests as persistent anxiety and looping thoughts. The body must move to complete the stress cycle and discharge those toxic hormones. Practical practice, the physical pattern interruption. The 60-second discharge. The moment racing thoughts or sudden anxiety strike, interrupt the physical pattern. Do not analyze the thought, simply move. Stand up and shake your arms and legs vigorously for 60 seconds. This sends an immediate signal to the nervous system. The threat has passed, we are moving, we can calm down. Positional leverage. Deliberately use the body to shift the emotional state. If you feel defeated, hold a power pose for 2 minutes. Stand tall, chest open, hands on hips, head high. The posture changes the neurochemistry before the mind can argue. Active meditation. If stuck in a mental loop while sedentary, initiate movement meditation. Walk briskly for 10 minutes, focusing solely on the sensation of your feet hitting the ground, the rhythm of your breath, and the swing of your arms. Use the mechanical rhythm to break the mental rhythm. Truth 4. What enters the mind shapes what exits it. Your mind is acutely permeable. Every piece of input is absorbed, leaving a residue that shapes your mental default setting. Allowing an unchecked stream of social comparison, global catastrophe, and fragmenting noise is equivalent to poisoning your internal ecosystem. The resulting anxiety and confusion are a direct output of toxic input. Marcus Aurelius's statement, "Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts," applies directly to your media consumption. The Stoics demanded a strict, conscious filter over their influences. You must install a formidable gatekeeper. Practical practice, the 7-day input, audit and purge. Input journaling. For 7 days, keep a log of all high-volume inputs. Note every account you scroll, every hour of news, every conversation. Immediately after consuming, rate your mental state: lighter, heavier, clearer, or scattered. The ruthless unfollow. Any source that consistently rates as heavy or scattered must be immediately eliminated. This includes digital content and energy-draining conversations. Prioritize mental hygiene above social obligation or FOMO. The morning protocol. Implement a non-negotiable 30-minute silence rule upon waking. Do not expose your fresh mind to external chaos before securing your own state. Affirmation. I protect what I consume. Truth 5. Clarity comes from closing open loops. The mind's inability to focus is often due to an excessive cognitive load from accumulating unfinished business. These open loops are invisible lists of pending decisions, half-completed tasks, and unresolved conflicts. Every loop runs silently in the background, consuming mental RAM and manifesting as low-grade anxiety. The Stoic foundation is the demand for action on what is controllable. The loop remains open because of indecision or aversion to discomfort. Indecision is a greater drain than an imperfect outcome. Practical practice, the triple action loop closure. Comprehensive brain dump. Conduct a massive data transfer, getting every single unfinished mental commitment onto a physical list. The closure formula. For the most draining items, commit to one of 3 actions. Action finish. Block time now to complete the task or schedule the difficult conversation. Decision, abandon. Consciously and without guilt, decide to stop the task or project. The loop is closed by deliberate cancellation. Next step. If the loop is too big, break it down into the absolute smallest next physical action. Take that step. The completion habit. Before shutting down for the night, enforce the habit of closing at least one small loop. Build a daily pattern of completion over accumulation. Affirmation, I finish what I start. Truth 6. The stories being told create the reality being lived. Your inner narrator is relentless, taking neutral events and layering them with dramatic, personalizing interpretations, the story, which often involve mind reading or fortune-telling. The mind responds to the story with real emotional consequences. The toxic thought is simply a toxic story. The Stoics demanded the practice of prosos, attention, specifically challenging initial impressions. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Take away your judgment, and the complaint, 'I have been harmed,' is gone." The harm is almost always in the dramatic story we impose upon the facts. Practical practice, the narrative deconstruction drill, the story capture. Immediately capture the full, dramatic and absolute story the narrator is telling. The fact filter. Write down only the objective, undeniable, factual components of the event, stripped of judgment. The rewritten contract. Close the massive gap between the story and the facts by writing a new, constructive, non-absolute and growth-oriented interpretation of the same facts. By choosing a better story, you change your mental and emotional response. Truth 7. Mental space expands when physical space clears. The physical environment is an extension of your mental state. A cluttered, chaotic living or workspace generates constant, low-level cognitive dissonance and stress. The mind is perpetually expending background energy, attempting to process the visual noise, leading to decision fatigue. The Stoic commitment to simplicity was practical. They understood that every excess possession introduces maintenance and distraction. Clearing external space is an act of internal self-management. Practical practice. The Microzone Maintenance Protocol. Zone 0. Identify your 3 most high-traffic zones: desk, bedside, main counter. Commit to making these Zone 0 completely clear every single night. This creates islands of order that the mind can rest upon. The 10-minute blitz. When feeling overwhelmed, set a timer for 10 minutes and focus only on one category, e.g., collect all trash, clear all cups, dishes. This provides a quick hit of order and mental momentum without burnout. Digital decimation. Extend Zone 0 to your technology. Eliminate all unneeded files and turn off all non-human, non-urgent notifications. A clear desktop home screen reduces the visual inputs competing for your attention. Affirmation. Clear space, clear mind. Truth 8. Resistance feeds what it fights. The central paradox is that the energy of resistance is the very thing that fuels the negative experience. Fighting a toxic thought, trying to suppress it, or judging yourself for having it keeps your attention violently locked on the very thing you want to eliminate. Trying to hold a toxic thought down is like forcing a beach ball underwater. It requires constant draining effort, and it explodes back with magnified force when you relax. Carl Jung stated, "What you resist persists." The Stoics taught acceptance, the calm acknowledgement of reality as it is. Acceptance neutralizes the fight. If you stop pushing the beach ball down, it simply floats neutrally on the surface. Practical practice. Acceptance, curiosity, and functional analysis. The neutral acknowledgement. When the toxic thought surfaces, immediately use the neutral phrase, "There is the anxious thought. It is present." No fight, no drama, just a weather report. Curiosity over conflict. Shift your stance from combatant to investigator. What is this thought fundamentally trying to accomplish? Curiosity dissolves the energy of resistance. Functional analysis. Analyze the thought's function. If the thought is making you prepare, address the preparation. By addressing the practical need underneath the noisy signal, the thought often quiets naturally. Truth 9. Consistency shapes destiny more than intensity. We are addicted to the idea of the breakthrough moment, but transformation is an incremental, compounding process. One moment of clarity cannot reprogram years of deeply conditioned mental habits. The Stoics lived this truth. Marcus Aurelius practiced his principles by writing his meditations daily. Wisdom, like strength, is built through repetition, even when boring or low motivation. Capability is built by consistency. Practical practice. The 1% improvement commitment. The daily non-negotiables. Select the 2 simplest, easiest to implement practices from this guide. They must require less than 5 minutes. Commit to doing them every day for the next 30 days, regardless of motivation or circumstance. The compounding mindset. Understand that this is the aggregation of marginal gains, the 1% improvement compounded, that creates the massive result. The reward is not the immediate feeling, but the fundamental structural change in your mental default setting. Focus on the repetition, not the perfection. The goal is a commitment to showing up and trying, even imperfectly. Consistent daily practice of clarity trains the mind to default to clarity. Conclusion: the choice and the command. This entire framework relies on one thing: the decision. It's not about wishing for a clear mind. It's about deciding that your mental integrity is non-negotiable. The toxic noise persists because it is tolerated. You have been given the mechanics. Now you must choose to act. Take one practice, just one, and implement it today, not tomorrow. Today. Let that single action be the proof. the command to your mind that things are different now. The mind clears when the choice is made, and it stays clear when that choice is reinforced through daily, intentional, consistent action. A focused life is not a gift. It is a consequence of this daily, rigorous self-mastery. Make your final declaration. Cement your independence from toxic thought by commenting, "My mind is mine to command." If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more lessons on Stoic discipline and clarity.